All right, hey guys. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the flexible modeling extension. Most of you guys may be familiar with this. This is an extension that is directly inside of Creo. Most of you will have it. It comes standard with most Creo packages. But I know most of you guys may not be familiar exactly with using it or have experience using it. It's a very powerful tool. But a lot of people don't understand maybe its capabilities or where it can be used or why you should use it. We have a lot of questions come up. We have a lot of requests for webinars, for discussions about flexible modeling. So today I'm not going to go into a whole fancy car model and show you how flexible modeling can work with that. We have webinars, we have demos that show more advanced assemblies, but I'm going to show you the basics of it. So that way we can kind of understand the concept of flexible modeling and you can determine where it may be useful to you. Right, so we're going to jump right into it. Right here, we have a standard part. Right, this is key for kind of showing off different geometries and what you might have in your part. What's really important to note here is we don't see any of the features come up in our model tree. We don't see an extrusion for this block right here. We don't see a cut for this hole right here. Right, we don't see a round feature in this model tree. So the first question we need to ask is how can we select that? How can we identify that feature so we can make direct changes to it, right? We're not adding new geometry. So that's really important to know is we're not adding new geometry to this part. We're not going and saying, okay, we want to make another cut right here in the surface. We don't want to extrude something off this surface. We want to make direct changes to the existing geometry that we already have. All right, so step one is to identify the surface. So we have this shape surface selection tool up here. Right, and it's very, very powerful. I love this tool. So we go in and select just a basic geometry on this extrusion here, and we identify it as a boss. And it'll select the entire thing. It'll highlight the entire thing, and then we can go in and do our transforms or modifications to it. Right. Let's go a little bit more in depth to that. So if we highlight this and select the boss, we get some of the adjacent features to it, right? You get some of this adjacent, rounds or chamfers or whatever it may be. But how do we get this entire thing selected? How do we select this entire feature? Because when I see this as an entire feature that we may want to move or make changes to it, right? So we can select this surface and choose bosses, and that highlights some more of the adjacent surfaces and geometries. So the shape surface selection tool is a great tool to quickly select geometry that we want to make changes to. We can always do it the old-fashioned way. We can always do the control click, select all the top surfaces. We can always control click and go through and select edges, select more of the inner surfaces of it, and then make changes to that. Sometimes it can be time consuming. It can take some more time, but sometimes you don't want to select all these little geometries right here and then go through and then make changes to that, right? It's just easier to identify as a whole. But you can always go through and control click. If there's more than one way to do it, and there's not a right way to do it, right? So now what can we do? What transforms can we do to that? Well, we look at our next part here, right? We love this part. We get this part in from the supplier, but we think it's great. However, I want this piece to be moved over slightly to the left, maybe angled down a little bit. Whatever change you want to do, it's very simple to do. We go in, and let's see if I can select this. I always have trouble selecting the surfaces. We go in and select this as a bosses, so it highlights all the geometry, including this little base down here, right? And we go to our move tool. Now, there's a few different move features we can have. We can do move by dimension, move using constraints, or move using dragger. For the purpose of a nice, simple demo, we're going to do move by using dragger. So we all know this lovely gyroscope. We've all probably seen it before. We've all probably used it before. We all love this. But very easy to use. We just use it we just drag along. Right, we can set the dragger to reference another edge or another part, and we can rotate the part based on that. Right, as you see, reference this edge, and we can always go in and set it to an actual number, right? And it's making a change to it. We can see the change being made. Now, I mentioned before that we're not creating any new geometry, right? In this case, we kind of are, because we're pulling this part off of the original surface here. So it's creating more of this geometry beneath us. We're not going in, we're not saying, okay, I want to extrude here, right here, but when we move this, the tool's smart enough and intelligent enough to know that we're going to need new geometry beneath it to make that work. Okay, another few quick things I want to show you guys is, this offset tool as well. We can select certain surfaces right here. If I can grab it. There we go. And just offset, and we can go ahead and just drag, and you can see how it creates new geometry, new features onto that surface, right? And it all works very smoothly, very well. If we want to kind of de-extend the length of this, we can go to offset as well, and just say we want to reduce the size by 0.15, right? Maybe a quarter of an inch, right? It brings that surface in. Very simple, very easy to do. You know, the great thing about this is you don't have to worry about references, right? We don't have to worry about how these features are referencing each other. All we're doing is we're selecting surfaces and we're making the changes directly to them. Very quick, very fast. Last thing I want to show you guys is this works with any CAD source, right? You know, we talked about before in a lot of our webinars about the Unite technology in Creo, how it's so powerful, how we can directly open up a SOLIDWORKS part, how we can import it, how we can work with that SOLIDWORKS part. Flexible modeling ties right into that, right? Right here we have an open SOLIDWORKS part, a part that hasn't been translated, that hasn't been converted. It's still in the native SOLIDWORKS format. But I want to go in and make changes to this, right? Back in the day, if we want to make a change to this, we'd have to send it back to our supplier who has SOLIDWORKS on his system that can open it up, see the model tree, see all these features, and make changes to it. But that wastes time, that wastes money. What if we just want to open it ourselves and make the quick change and then go send it to our manufacturing floor or whatever we need to do with it, right? Throw it into our analysis tool. Well, here it's very easy, right? Same thing, same process. We go in, select it. As a boss, we highlight this pin, we can make a direct move change to it. But also we want to recognize a pattern here. You can see there's 4 pins that are similar to each other, right? So we can go to this recognize tool and recognize a pattern, and it selects all 4 of these pins together. And it right here, and it saves it in the model tree as an actual feature that we can use later. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and select this as a boss and go to our move tool. We're going to have it reference maybe this edge right here, and I'm going to move this back, 0.3, whatever you really want it to be. Then we go to the options here, and we can set it to propagate to the pattern that we have recognized before. So it'll take a second, but it'll recognize it'll apply that change, that geometry change, to all these other pins that we have recognized as a pattern. And we hit OK, and it regenerates it all, and it makes that move together. So now we have made a direct geometry change to a SOLIDWORKS part very quickly. It took us 30 seconds to identify the feature, to identify it as a pattern, and then make that change to it. So flexible modeling is very simple, very easy to use. Obviously this video is more meant to be a short demo intro to it. But if you have more questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. We can go into a more advanced demo, show you more about it. But I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks guys for listening.